Good morning, friends. It's Julie, and today we're going to do part 2 of Sadie's story. We're going to have some more suitors that she had and some World War I correspondence, and also who really was Sadie anyway. So let's get to it.
In our previous video, we left off with Sadie having 6 different suitors, and it was in the year 2013. She had been away at college, and now we'll see what she is up to next.
Okay, December 3rd, 1913. I believe it was 1913. Friend Sadie, and he spells her name S-A-D-Y-E. If you are going to act that way about it, it is all right with me. But I think if you did not have a date for Sunday night, that you could have said whether you would go or not. So, for I have treated you with the best that I know how, and in fact, in a good way but basically he said, I treated you better than you've treated me. And he does refer to Wayne Larson in his letter. And then the next paragraph, for you never believe anything that I tell you. And so if you don't intend to give me the date Sunday, you can bring my picture back with you. For if you don't think any more of me than this, you can't have the picture. So you can answer if you want to see me anymore. I wish that I could have talked to you before. So anyways, yours, Arthur. Now we have something different. This is actually a letter during World War I. Return address down there. This gentleman works in the hospital unit, military branch in Chattanooga. May 31, 1918. It says YMCA with true colors. And the bottom it says, please help your country by saving, right on both sides of this paper. And Chickamauga Park, Georgia, May 29th, 1918. Dear Sada, and she's often called Sada as well. I've been a trifle negligent about writing, and he goes on about the weather and what he's doing, and he tells all of these different places that he has been going to back and forth since the last time that they talked or wrote letters and stuff. So it's a really very chatty letter. It's kind of interesting about the different places that this gentleman has been. And then it is signed, yours devotedly, Private M. Ballas, B-A-L-L-A-S. Number 7, welcome to the group, Private Ballas. This next one is dated June 27th, 1918. It does not have an outside envelope, but it is another military wartime letter. It is from Camp Gordon, from Georgia. June 27th, 1918. Dear Sada, just a few lines. Apparently, Sadie has not been feeling well, so he's sending her his best wishes on that. And they talk a little bit about faith, and they mention the Church of Christian Science. And he says he's been transferred to these different wards. He says he doesn't really enjoy the hospital work, but he is needing to pass an eye exam in order to be stationed in the places that he wants to go. And that there are new men arriving there every day. There are many thousand Georgia men coming to camp now. We'll close, trusting you'll hear from you at your earliest convenience. And don't forget the picture, dear, that you promised the other week. Yours sincerely, Private T.M. Ballas. Here is another letter that did not have an envelope, just the letter. And it is also from a soldier, dated October 13th, 1918. Dear, Mrs. Sada Schwartz, dear friend Sada, I address, this one is from a new one. His name is Lawrence H. Wessler. So now we have 8 gentlemen that have written letters to Sadie. And yeah, it's possible. You wouldn't ask for a photo if it's from your cousin, would ya? Just got back from 3 straight trips and am tired. Drove 8 hours in the rain. Has been raining for 2 days. I have a pair of hip boots and a raincoat, so did not get wet. Boots are mighty cold. I'm living in a squad tent with 6 other young men. Like tent life just fine so far. Gets damp. Let's see. He did not write on the back of his note like he's supposed to do for the country. Am now assistant driver of a Packard truck. Have been over a great part of France. Was stationed near Paris for a long time. Saw part of the city July 4th. It is a very beautiful place. And now among the hills in a small country. The landscape is very beautiful. And including a postal. Would like to hear from you. Tell your father and the rest of the folks hi for me. And your friend, Private Lawrence Wessler, motor truck, American something 7, APO 712. It's possible he's not a boyfriend. He's just a boy from town that she's writing. And, we don't know if he had romantic interests or not. Based on this letter, this is the only one I have of his. These next 2 letters are not from gentlemen, but they have the same theme in them. And this is October 6, 1919, and again, this one too, and, similar looking, same postmark kind of thing, same postage, and they both say, I'm sorry for the loss of your father. So Sadie's father now has passed away. She is in college, and it is during World War I, a lot of upheaval in her life. So that we know that something important has happened now. So all of this time, we have been hearing from the people who write to Sadie. But there was an important person who also collected some letters in this lot, and that is Sadie's mom. So we have a few letters saved from Sadie's mom, and this one is very important. Now we finally find out who Sadie picked as a husband. This is, I don't have the date on this one. I'm guessing it's 1921 sometime. It just says Sunday night from the Morrison Hotel in Chicago. And this is Sadie writing to her mom after as she journeys out. She's leaving Illinois with her husband, and they're heading for Montana. And that is where it enters my story, because I live in Montana. I bought this lot in Montana. And so her husband and her moved out to Columbus, Montana, which is the town that I've taken you shopping with in the thrift shop. And then later on in life, they moved to Billings, Montana, which is where the auction was. And this is a really cool letter. I really like this letter. I might keep it. We'll see. But it's, Dear Mumsy, just a line to tell you that we arrived here at night at 4:45. Okay, just to recap, before we get to the person that she picked. We have Wayne Douglas, which he may or may not have ended as a friend. We have Wayne Mose Larson Jr., who is very persistent. We have Wayne Larson, Wayne Garrison, who is referred to. We have Metz, who sent a couple letters. We have Fred, who is he? Fred Lux. We've got Arthur. Okay, what did Fred Lux say? I don't know. I think he wanted to meet up with her. Arthur, who said, you need to treat me better. There's Private Ballas and Private Lawrence Wessler. So those are the list of possible gentlemen that she married. She married one of these. And so let's find which one has won Sadie's heart. Okay, so she's telling her mom they arrived safely, and said they ate dinner. She had cantaloupe for her supper, and it set me a little, and I felt tired, so I did not stay out long. Arthur brought me back up to my room, and he has gone now to the station to get reservations for our trip west. Arthur won her heart. He, with saying, you're not treating me well, he stood up and said, this is the way it is, Sadie. You're dating these other guys, but, are you going to pick me? She did write to other gentlemen during that time. We don't know how romantic interest that was and how serious, how the ebb and flow of the relationship, but she ended up marrying Arthur. I suspect from the train of events that when her father died, she might have gone back home, and that's when she kind of thought she needed to get more serious about her life and settle down. I don't know if she completed any kind of education. But if I ever find anything more about Sadie, I will let you know. So Arthur seems to be taking very good care of Sadie, looking out for her, helping her, and they are moving back to his home, which is in Montana, where his family lives. Okay, so this letter, I can see how this would touch the mother's heart, and where she would want to keep this letter all this time. So Sadie writes, "It was so hard to leave you, Mama," and her mom was recently widowed too. "You have always been the best mother in all the world to me, to all of us, and I would have you know that I am sensible of it and appreciate the comfort and blessing you have been to me while you're still here. That's why." So she wants to tell her mom how much she feels about her while she can, and maybe she didn't with her dad. "That's why it was so hard to go. Because while I know that Arthur loves me dearly and would do anything for me, still no one ever will care as much or do as much for me as you have done. Your devotion and unselfishness to your kids is enough to put us all to shame. And while I know you have lots of comfort and much to be grateful for, I still wish you had something more in the way of love and companionship. And when I think about it, my heart aches and I have to cry. But Arthur says you will be all right and that God will keep you for me until I can come again. So I'm going to trust that everything just will be all right and try to be comforted and happy out there and be a good wife to Arthur because he's so good to me and maybe it will all work out all right. I was glad I could spend those 2 months at home with you and wish I could have stayed longer. But Arthur felt it was time for him to go back to work, and of course it was. But you certainly did everything to make our stay there agreeable and pleasant, and Arthur is just as grateful as I am and love you almost as much. Arthur's a good guy. I can see why her mom finally approved of him. I'll send a line as soon as I reach Billings and again after I get to Columbus. We don't have those letters. I don't have those letters. I'll tell you everything and hope to be better at least." She closes, take care of yourself, Mama, and be happy. I shall miss you far more than you will ever know, but I'm sure you think it is best for me like it is, and I know Arthur will be kind. Write often. Lovingly, Sadie. God love you and keep you. That is just so touching. Yeah. I'm almost tearing up. I don't know if you are. But I mean, how many of us have that opportunity to say something like that to our parents? I didn't get to say that to my mom. I did get to say it to my dad. So there is the conclusion of Sadie's love story. And I do have quite a few letters going in through her married life. They're not as dramatic. It's just more newsy stuff. But I just thought I wanted to share this one with you. And I do have one more letter I want to highlight. And that's this one. This one is dated in February 28th, 1922, to Mrs. Amy Schwartz, because Arthur's last name was Schwartz. And this is another one that her mother kept of Sadie's. And it was already wrinkled and stuff when I got it, but it's typewritten. So, and a few other letters, people are like envying her typewriter. And I really like the typewriter because it's easier to read, but it doesn't have the same penmanship. This is written from the ranch, Saturday, 9 a.m., August 11th. So Sadie is now a Montana rancher's wife. I'm living on a ranch, so I'm like, ooh, I'm in the same county as Sadie. This is kind of cool. So, dear moms, it's plural. I don't know if there's another mom or somebody who's like a mom to her that also reads these. And she talks about the life on the ranch. She says... And she also wants to finish up telling her about her Yellowstone Park trip. She says, when one washes, irons, mends, cooks, sweeps, and bakes, and takes care of a tiny wee one, now they have a baby, There aren't many hours left in the week for letters, are they? Especially when one has everything to do alone. Then she talks a little bit about her Yellowstone trip that she took. They must have seen some of the geysers and things. She closes with, well, this will be all you can read this time. We are all as usual and have plenty to do. After threshing, I want to get my teeth put in shape and see if I can get them straightened up a little better. Baby seems fine and is as good as gold. I was so glad for Ruby's letter and Margaret's, and we'll answer soon. We'll send this letter tonight and some pictures Monday if they come. Meanwhile, let me hear from you that you're better. Then she signs Sadie, S-A-D-A. And then she has started writing in pencil at the bottom. And then, because she must have closed it out, took it out, and then on the back, basically news that there was a letter had just arrived after she finished this from her mom, and she's glad that her mother was feeling a little bit better. So, just thought this was a really nice way to close out this adventure. She does mention later she doesn't like ranch life. It is a hard life for a woman, especially back then. And they did eventually move to Billings, so... I love getting stories of the past, of the history. I've always loved history. And I just love the paper, the tactile, with paper planning. That's probably why I like that, because it's so tactile. And it has that endurance that today, it would be in form of emails and texts and stuff. And that's probably not going to be found in attics, in bundles tied with ribbons. So these are just really gems of our past that are dying. Just hope that you enjoyed this little story, about 3 or so years in somebody's life. And let me know what you think. And if you have stories, if you have old letters or something that you have discovered, maybe about your relatives or somebody else. I think it's fascinating.
The real story of Sadie was found for me on Ancestry.com. Her name was Sadie Leota Schwartz. She was born in January of 1894 in Illinois, and her father was named Samuel, her mother Amy, and she married Arthur George Harris in 1922. They had 3 children, and she died on December 9th, 1984 in Yellowstone County, Montana at the age of 90. She had a good long life, and she was buried in Billings, Montana. Her father passed away in October of 1919 at the age of 71, and her mother passed away on October 12th, 1923, which was a year after Sadie and Arthur were married. It was also the year that their first son, Arthur Jerome, was born. Her husband, Arthur, passed away in 1974, so she lived 10 years longer than he did. And this last picture that I'm showing you was included in the packet of letters, and around the date, this would have been Sadie in the picture somewhere. She would have been one of these ladies, and Arthur one of the gentlemen. So I'm not sure which one it was, but I'll let you make your own conclusion on that one. And I thank you so much for taking this journey with me, and I hope you have a joyful day. Goodbye.